Thank you, sir. The last paper for this session is by Dr. Dileep Gowda. He is going to speak on etched in stone, game patterns found in temples and Basadis in Karnataka.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. When Mr. Ramesh invited me, I was in New York. I actually thought this would be a pleasure. Until now, I've been asked to speak after two giants, so I don't know how much of my presentation will be a repetition. Bear with me, please. But right now, I'm going to share a picture, the past 15 years of my life, most of which was weekends with Ajit Singh and Raghu Dharmendra. Basically, I just wanted to see all these places. And initially, this was not meant to be this serious, but eventually it has become this serious. My childhood is I remember it with playing with my sister most of the time during summer vacations. She was a master in Mankala, 5-house Chokabara, 7-house Chokabara. She would always win. I hated it. But I would eventually go back to play with her to lose again. And it so happened the day of my 12th grade results, my dad made me not to go and check results at school. Back then, it was still not going to be released on the internet. And my dad said, until I come, you're not to go. I was so scared, nervous. My mother did a brilliant thing. She said, okay, let's play a 7-house Chokabara. If you win this round, you're going to get so-and-so score. So we spent about 3 hours of playing this. And yes, I won the game. And I don't know if it is coincidental. Thanks to that day, I'm a doctor. So, knowing all this history, Raghu, we call him Raghu, he is just Dharmendra. When we went to Mysuru, he saw a few things and he excitedly called me, come here and see this. And that is how our first documentation of the games began. But I'd like to start with my hometown. I come from a very small town, very close to Mysuru, called Chikkade. This is, my village is a huge game hub. During the seasons of Yugadi and Sankranti, men indulge in all sorts of plays. They want to win. Winning or losing on that particular day decides their fate for the year. Next slide. So yeah, we have used unusual pictures. All pictures are clicked by Raghu. So this Merigute is the Sri Vaishnava Pilgrimage Center, very close to Mysuru. And this became popular after Ramanujacharya took refuge in this center over nearly 1,000 years ago. And here is where we first saw these pictures. Interestingly, you see Aduguli, where several variations are there. I'm just going to randomly name them in Kannada. So we call that Aduguli. This is the single track game, Panchakeliya. You can see right next to the fort. Next one. Right where people can sit. Next. Right where that vantage point. So the theme here was, I just asked Gyani, what are the chances that these games are new? This can date from any day this temple was live, 1,000 years ago, till the day before we went there. So he said, no, this is not coincidental. These are ancient, these are old. So we just kept on documenting what are the games we could see in this particular temple. This is Chelvanarayana Swami on the base of the hill. Here also we can see a profusion of caves. Kattaviliyattu, this is the tiniest one. Aduvali and Navakankari here in the end. Next. So right at the entrance, you can see Aduvali right here. And again, variation of Aduvali. This one right here, and then 23 sepoys. So we use these ponds to just highlight it, and that is how that we've been improvising our knacks to make them obvious in these pictures. So after this, we wanted to put this observation into a test. So why not start from our own town of Mysuru? So we started with the Chamundi Hills. It's right there in this mantapas. You can see another Aduvali, another version of Aduvali. You can see we have used our own ponds here. And you can see another one here. You can see goats and tigers there. And again, Firehouse Chowkabara, another one. So on top of the hill, this is also called as Mahabaleshwara Paruta. The consort of Chamundi is Mahabaleshwara. That temple is older than this one. Next one. There you can see these Stargame, Aduvali, and then the 23 sepoys. This is the front portion of the temple. So we used a piece of chalk to highlight them, and just for the sake of the picture, we were asked several times by people, "What are you doing?" We told them we are not defacing anything, we're just recognizing it and documenting it. And here we see this is an unknown game here in Mysuru. Again, Panchakeliya, simplest version of Aduvali, Star Game, and then 23 sepoys. So then after seeing that on top of the hill, we come to the palace. This is the palace premises, Trineshwara temple. Here we see gates again on the sides of the stairs where people can sit. Aduvali, a little version of it. And then you can see this game board has been defaced because people have used that floor to make sandalwood paste. So definitely this is older. So no one else is middle with it after that. So another Shvetavaraha temple again inside the temple fort. So palace fort. Right next to the Yagna Kunda you can see the game. So definitely this was played by priests in between the yagas. I'm sure they had much fun. So you can see sepoys here and then the Aduvali here. So that's how I wanted to recognize our journey, because I've been told to speak about temples and Basadis of Karnataka. I just wanted you to know these are the places we've traveled, and I'm going to show pictures of these places where we've documented games. So starting from Mysuru, we three would go mostly on weekends because that's how I'd get free time to go. So this particular basket would come with us. So we'd stuff it with prawns, piece of chalk, any other material that can be used to photograph the games. So people would usually, you can see, I'll just say, writing rules in games, whatever we learned from people. Yes, and these games are very much alive in Karnataka. Wherever we went, we learned newer and newer varieties, variations, names, rules. So yes, that helped us in our identification of these games. The erstwhile capital city of Tipu Sultan, the island place Srirangapatna, you can see gates inside the temple, Ranganatha Swami temple, right next to the Tulsi here. You can see one Aduvali right on those stairs. Talamuri, or we call it Channai in Kannada, and a version of Aduvali right here. And then Tondanuru or Keretonduru again is a small village today, but back then during the time of Ramanujacharya, this was the seat of Vedic learning. So here you can see several temples, ancient temples. So here you can see Ashtapada, right? And then we saw a pillar on which there was this game, and you can see an idol goddess again. So here we question that you can see a history happening right here. The way you will see this temple will change once you appreciate this. Once upon a time, this was lying on the floor. People played on it, and now it stands. So our aspect of seeing history changes as we observe such variations. This is a small hamlet called Kadale, close to Nanjangud, Mysore. One of the important queens of Mysore dynasty comes from here. In the temple of Lakshmi Kanta, you can see again 23 sepoys right here, Kattamiliyattu. And here, arguably, here from the wife of the chief priest, we learned one of the significant variations of Pachisi called Jodiata. And we've been teaching that to friends, whoever is interested. And Nyman Morris, arguably. And then we, on our another journey, we went to Bangalore. This is Rama Temple. So as soon as we went there, go back to the previous slide. As soon as we went there, the important thing we noticed was these slabs have several gates, and this is outside the temple. And then we spotted these. Right here, there, next one, and right here. And then we understood these temples undergo renovation decades after decades. And that is how these slabs, which were once inside the temple, have come out. And that's what we're seeing. And all of this is true to that until that day, because several temples have lost games after we have seen them. Because people, without understanding the importance of this, have thrown them or replaced or put ugly tiles on them and covered them up. The Chennakeshwar temple, the picture explains, such a beautiful historic monument, very close to Mysore. Here we saw profusion of names, and you can see RG playing. He didn't know we were clicking picture. And yes, several celebrities you can see. Here, interestingly, we saw game here in the ceiling. Again, like I said, imagine artisans working on this temple, hordes and hordes of them, working for years together in building up this structure. And once upon a time, that slab was right there. Just think of those artisans coming together after a day full of fruitful work. They play with one another. So you can see, you can actually go back to that particular day when you see this relics. You can live that day. Next one. And this is Gargeshwara temple in Gargeshwari. There is a fortune telling Ganesha here if anyone is interested. Again, Pachisi, right there. And Yadandur, in Chamarajnagar district, has a Bade Mandapa because of these chains right there. This was given as a jagir to Diwan Purnaya after the 4th Anglo-Mysore War. But this temple predates that history. And here we found versions of arguably, you can see extra triangles here. And this has been defaced partly. On one of my single journey, I took my bike one day talk. Think of me as crazy, but I just went to this particular temple. And I came across these games, and I'll get to an important one. This is the not right here in the back of the temple. I came across this one. So I was so thrilled. I went back, came with Raghu and Gyani to that particular place again. There was no documentation of this cave in any book we'd seen. But this structure was so interesting. This looks like two bows and arrows facing each other. So we, in Sanskrita, we named them as Sharavyuha. Both of us came with this term. And with 4 + 4 pawns, we coined a game ourselves. And we started marketing it. And later Raghu found out that somebody on Amazon was actually selling the same game with the same name. After this, yes, of course. So that's one of the observations. And again, in the Mantapata, on the banks of the River Kaveri, right next to Yagakundas, we've seen versions of Arduli, Nakshatra. Here, when we went to Shravanabellagola on Vindhigiri, on top of Vindhigiri, I, as a doctor, was observing these. Because in Kannada, varicose veins are called hasiravu, green tendrils. So the history is he stands on meditation for years together. I'm sure he had varicose veins, but they have artistically depicted that to be green tendrils that have covered him up. Yes, again, that is again an artistic representation. While I was observing that, Raghu spotted these. Particularly star game and simplest version Arduli. And complex hunt game, most likely Anekattu. Next one. Yes, in the Bandara Basadi, next one. Right there, we saw this elegantly etched pagade with all the decorations intact. So that means that people were sketching very leisurely and they were there continuously playing it. And another one, Ashtapada, right here. And why I say Ashtapada here instead of chess, because Ashtapada, with the pawns available, this pawn is easy to play versus having a chess pawn. So we assume it was Ashtapada, and then that's the star game. And then this is near Davangere, Harihara, a beautiful Harihareshwara temple. Here again, you can see me playing with Gani. The games have been played for so many times, so often, you can see pits instead of just etchings. Again, you can see here, right there, Palanguli. Yeah, 23 sepoys. Oh, that's 23 sepoys. So, anywhere you can sit, anywhere you can relax in the temple, you can see games. So the single round game, this one in particular, 2 or 3 people or sets of 3 people can play. So this one, very close to Ummatur in Basadi, we spotted games. Again, this has been highlighted to just show the markings because it originally doesn't look as pronounced. This is a game of Panchakalia, half gone. And on our journey in Chamarajnagar, we came across different temples of Bhujangaraya temple and Rangaraya temple. This temple was under complete renovation under the aegis of Dharmasthala Manjunatha Trust. So when we went there, no one was there to stop us. I'm sure we took a risk to go inside, and there again, just like in Todaluru, we spotted one more game in one of the pillars, star game. And right when we were doing this, Raghu said there should be a game at this particular spot because by now we had become experts in detecting games. So he gave some grind right in front of this, and there you can see a game found. And once we went to DR Hills, we took a hike. We were called there to give another lecture, and we were asked to conduct games. So on that journey, I played with a mendicant right there who was relaxing. But that picture, I don't think it was that clear, so we didn't use it. So here atop the hill, right next to this Tulsi, right here in this junction, I found a game, Aduli, hiding. I'm sure this slab must have been inside somewhere in a place where you can sit, 2 people can sit and play. But now it rests there. This is in Amachavari, a huge Virabhadra temple, very well kept. There in front of this Nandi, right here, you can see Aduli with all decoration. You can see 2 wheels also, and also a cap decorated. This is in Bangalore, Gavigagareshwara temple, famous for its summer solstice visits, because sun rays pass exactly on the main deity in the Sanctum Sanctorum. In that temple we saw this, and we made them play for the picture. I hope they play after this. On our way from Mysuru to Bangalore, you can see a Ramapraniya temple. Again, it's a small village with a huge temple. Here we saw unusual pattern of this single track game, right here in front of the Garuda. And then arguably a version of it, half gone. Here in Lakundi, Gadar, when we went to this Jinalaya, I would like to highlight upon the difference between Jinalaya and a Basadi. Basadi was where the monks lived for a period of time to give a discourse. In Jinalaya, they didn't. They have they are opulently decorated, very similar looking to Hindu temples, whereas Basadis are very simplified structures. So in this place, we saw Palanguli here. Next one. And similarly, in Murugudri, Tribhuvan Tilaka Chudamadi, Savar Kamara Basadi. Next one. Like sir was saying, here there are few games which are well marked in a prominent spot. Hasuchirute, right here, and then in Karkada, Chaturmukha Basadi Karkada, you can see Ashtapada, right here. And again, 23 squares and then 9 minus. So on this, I had huge problem communicating with people, especially strangers. I would never talk. So Gary made sure I, broke that barrier. So what we did was, on our journey, wherever we went, we would invest our time in understanding and talking to strangers. These are all people who came there for worship. So they sat with us. They taught the games they knew. They played. I'm sure they must have won in this particular round. I'm not sure. This is right in front of Kapechanigaraya temple. Panchi, and then single track game. So Chandakeshwar temple, a live temple in Vellore. I'm sure you know. This is one of the important historic spots in Karnataka. Here, again Panchi, and here we spotted this gambler's pagade, this extremely simple version of pagade with just 9 houses each. And we highlighted that with a piece of chalk just for the documentation. And when we were passionately documenting this for hours together, we were also looking at the monument. At the same time, we were documenting these in the scorching sun. So the main priests came asking, "What are you doing?" So we wanted to explain, and then they were so thrilled to just learn. So they sat and played this. They're not posing. They're actually involved in this game. They said they'd continue to play there. That was on the west exit of that temple. A game lost because of the slab standing on it. You can see half of the game here. So again, I'm very curious by nature. So on our journey, I would examine every spot. I don't like to leave one spot unexamined. Just like that, I was trying to observe something in this well, I'm not sure why. That's where here in one of the slabs, we found Arun. So this particular game slab must have been outside someday, and somebody must have built a well after that, and then that has gone there to decorate one of the sides of the well. Again, these slabs which are in the sun today must have been inside the temple. During the course of renovation, they've come out. Half of the game is gone here, and there are beautifully carved palangulis right here. And we used some of our pawns in the sun because otherwise you cannot see the patterns. Right next to one another, you can see some videos. This is again one of the abandoned, not abandoned, but miniature shrines outside Vellore. This is the upper slabs of an archway, and that's been lined down here, and that there you can see double Aligudi Mane. And one more. And in the same journey, we went to Mysuru in Hassan. It's a dual temple complex of Channakeshwara and Nageshwara. Looks like this village exists for these temples because it's almost just a single street of Brahmins. Here, we saw profusion of games, especially very, very etched and preserved pagadis. You can see one here, and another game here, one more here, one more here, one more here, one more, two there, and outside them, again, it's not just inside, outside also you can see games. And another temple, you can see two Palanguli and another Pagadi here. And this is in Kikeri, in Kyarpe, Brahmeshwara temple. This is again outside the village. Here you can see a game here, one more here, one more there. One on top of the other in the other slide. When we went to Pattadakal, this is another beautiful picture of Pattadakal. One of the temples was built by the queen for her lover. Just like how Taj Mahal was built by a husband for her lover, here you can see wife building structure for her husband. You can see alignment game right there, lying in the sun. One more Ashtapada. There we saw a couple, celestial couple playing, Shiva Parvati playing. Backgammon. Next one. This in Banvasi for Karnataka people is very sentimental because it carries Kannada history. Several poets like Pampa lived there and they described this place to be like today's Bangalore or today's Mumbai. So there you can see this one is definitely Chaturanga or 400 chess because you can see 4 different flags. So I'm sure this was more likely that versus Ashtapada. And a star game. And then you can see games here. And after that, sir, coming to his observation, we have effectively numbered games, documented all the games in them, and we have calculated how many games are there. Here you can see a punchy game, and right here you can see several games right there. I don't know how difficult or easy it was for people to sit and play because it's way above the ground level here for someone to stand and play. But we saw games right there. Here, interestingly, you can see actually here people, cow herds or goat herds or horsemen, people must have used this spot to tie horse because right next to it you can see a Adibudi Mane. And in another cave, again, this is a backgammon right here, and Ashtapada, and then Panchakevya. Then in Hosahodalu, coming back to Mandya, in Hosahodalu, we saw a bunch of games again, and more interestingly, we spotted Padma Vivaha. Like you must be familiar with Abhimanyu, Chakravivaha. We thought initially it was that. And then for the reference, this is that in Hadebedu. We also found that in Nindigiri. But looking at this board from Jagannath Palace collection of Mumudi, observe this game. We don't know what it is. We don't know how to play. We just assume they are not just the Padma Vivaha, they are also game. That Nindigiri Padma Vivaha, right there next to it. Next one. In Javagal, which is another Hoysala style temple, you can see Kauravas and Pandavas betting with a bag of wealth playing in one of the side panels of the temple. And this is outside the temple, this is open in the sun, Pagade, and then 23 sepoys. And there we spotted, this was an accidental find, we spotted a game here. This is a ceiling, And not just a game, this is actually an inscription. This is a slab, inscription slab, in which we found an outcrop. So this must have been a simple slab where outcrop must have existed. On top of that, they've done an inscription, and then they used it as an inscription. People must have gotten bored. Now it stands as a ceiling. In Belawadi, this is one of the most beautiful temples I've seen. In Veeranarayana temple, here again a profusion of games. Here Gyani and another friend with the priest playing. He's actually teaching him. We didn't know what it was. He's teaching that single track game. And right next to it, very close to it, Shantigrama ruins. Here we spotted a game in the wall outside. Again, with the variations. I think 5 people can play this. We don't know, but we just assume this is just the variation. This is right there outside.
But I wonder, if they have been doing like this, how could they play?
This must have been played. This must be on the floor. During reconstruction, let's say the temple fell off or they wanted to refurbish it, they used that slab without even bothering about the etched marks, and that stays there as a relic.
It would have been elsewhere too and brought and fixed.
Yes, that too is possible.
Very eco-friendly.
So, Karnataka, the topic on games about Karnataka would be incomplete if I don't speak about Hampi. Here in the Sasavekalu Ganpati Mandapa, we can see game right here, here. We saw games at several positions. We saw them in the caves, in mantapas, on rocks, outside, just randomly in the street, inside the temple, outside the temple. I've just used few pictures to show. You can see here, RB. And then inside the Virupasha temple, somebody has done a research only on the games found in this temple. I've used just few pictures to show games we saw. Obviously, these are new ones because they exist on cement, but we documented them. Here you can see one right here, Ranchi, in the hallway. And in Someshwara temple, Gadag, in the Navaranga, the central part of the temple, we see games right there. Talamudi and sandwiched games, 2 games sandwiched with one another. And then this is a Saraswati temple in Gadag again. You can see kids here go there to study because it's very peaceful. But we can see games also. And again, it's not just temples and Basadis. We can see games here near the spot as well. Because there are resting mantapas here. You can see a game here. This is in Sante Bedo. And this is again in Chamarajnagar. When we went to this remote village, we were very surprised to see this village must have about 2,000 people. But we saw about 30-40 of them engaging in a game like this right in front of the temple. This is the huge mantapa in front of the temple. They were engaged in this game. They were so well versed in this. We could challenge them. So they were experts in these games that they played. They taught us new versions that we adopted later. This and this. This man was an expert. He taught us many versions. I remember my summer holidays very well with a pleasant nostalgia because not because I lost, because I played with my sister. I remember her by that. That memory flashed back when we went to Ummattur. This grandmother was teaching her grandchildren. She was not even aware that we were there. 3 strangers, one weirdo clicking pictures. They didn't even know that we were there. She was teaching and they were happily rejoicing it. And I'm sure when these girls grow up to be of that age, I'm sure they'll remember their grandmother by that. My point here is, the game boards are not just etched in stone. if we remember them and if we play them, their memories can define that the games can be etched in heart as well. Thank you. Any questions?
Where there are so many boats together, where is the place to sit? You find them 3 or 4 together.
Mike.
It's just
So, Mike.
it's just that the place was too small. They'd be bored playing one game at a time. So they'd play one game at a time, ignoring the other part of the ancients.
Or in that corner they have choice.
Yeah.
That corner there are choice of games to play.
It's just that, just imagine, I just want to take a part of this presentation as to these temples were not just places of worship. They were places where people met. Obviously, just imagine 5-6 generations ago, our ancestors went there without mobile phones, trying to talk with each other, and they played with all that, communicating with one another.
Temples were modern day malls.
Yes.
In fact, even now, they sell an entire set in Europe with this,
Yes.
with that,
Yes.
something quite like that.
He's going to talk about that.
Oh, he is
Yes.
yes.
Yes, absolutely mind-boggling. All the temples in such short distances, there are so many. My question was that when you show that chakra view, I had seen it in one of the temples there when we had gone. The guide said it is
In
the
Lekakshi?
it is the formation of the war,
Yeah.
not game.
No, that's what we also think it's a war, but on that particular board I spotted in the game room, which is there in Jagannath Palace. That is a board game.
There is a similar one in Pollachi, Gedimedu in Pollachi, which the archaeologists
If you are
are
there
saying.
tomorrow, my presentation, I will show you what is
You will
the.
explain that?
There is
Yes.
a manuscript in the Institute of Kannada Studies of Krishna Gowda III. It's called Chaduranga Chakra. That has this game Padma Vyuha.
Oh, it's
I'm
a
going to
game.
explain that tomorrow.
So it's not a war formation.
It
It's
is.
a
Yes.
it's a war formation as well as.
Again,
If it
yes.
is depicted in the temple, it has to be a
Again,
game.
Ms. Manita this morning mentioned games are just not for time pass, they actually, develop your strategical viewpoints about life.
Yeah.
The
One
same
is-
thing you'll find in Pollachi, Gedimedu, they have a similar one.
I just used images from Karnataka
Yeah,
just
I
to
can share
restrict
that
my.
with you.
One small question again. You had shown in one place that Yudhishthir and Shakuni played.
Yes.
So what was that?
That is Sokata. It is Sokata.
It's a game of dice. Nowhere in the Mahabharata there is mention of any board. So it is what is usually shown is in the Mahabharata that they gambled with a pagdi putt. But nowhere there is mention of the game board. So it is a version of throwing the dice. Two of us are playing. So I will tell 10 and throw the dice. If it is 10, I win. And next he is going to tell 8 and throw the dice. So he will take his share. So that is what is shown there on a table. There are bags of money and they are throwing the dice. This is a recurrent panel in the Hoysala temples, and we have recorded it at more than 20 places. They don't show the board. But later, during nobody's time, you see chopper being played. So now these two things are 900 years apart.
Yes, we have heard the Ramsons tell that they have played Sokata. That is how I remember it.
But in Vyasa Mahabharata it is not. There is a modern version of that.
One
Playing
thing
with
is,
5 dice.
it's understandable when you have different games cut together. If you have to board with one, sometimes it's the same game right next to each other.
Yes.
And that's odd because they're so close that two sets of people can't sit together.
No, it's not about. It's not that all the game boards are occupied at the same time all the time. It's just that you can choose to ignore what is there, and you can just take one off the lot in that in that collage, and play on that.
That's basically the life, similar games.
Yes.
Right next to each other. That will make sense.
No, that again, the sandwich double uncle I was talking about, right?
Not just that, I mean, I think that.
They are versions, variations of it.
Or is it like our tennis courts?
So,
Is it like our tennis courts? 1, 2, 3.
Sophia wants to ask.
yes, ma'am.
Mine is just a question. You've taken so much time and labor to find these temples. What advice would you give me? I want to go. At my age, I'm quite pretty old. I won't be able to walk along. I want to know if you have a map of how to go to this group of temples in how many days, weeks.
I'll come to that.
And another group is on this side, where you go another day, then another day. How long, how many weeks, months, even years? I appreciate that. And I would like to know if you have a booklet on that. Like
I was a terrible student in geography and history. I hated it. In my high school, I hated it. And I never really cared about history until I crossed my 12th grade. So Ajit Singh kept saying, we have such an illustrious past. One should know because we were born into this land. We need to appreciate this. So the clever thing he did was, come with me, we're going to this temple, come with me, we're going there. He's into business, so he needs to travel a lot. So during weekends I'd go along with him just to see this. This is, I just structured it in this way for the sake of narration. But most of this did happen in this particular pattern, only the initial bits happened in that pattern. After that, I'd go, he'd tell, I skipped many things because I was very nervous, I think. I want to say many things, but many things just went off my mind. The thing is, he'd say, for example, Melukote, he'd talk about how Yadavas, the Vadiyas of Mysore, how they came there first and then they were resting in Srirangapatna and then they came to Mysore. So when you see that monument, when you're right there looking at the monument and listen to this part of the history, that you will start loving that place. You will start developing respect for that place more. So that this goes back to when I was 18, now I'm 32. So this has taken so many years. So this is, and also we've used only a bit of our documentation here. We've traveled across India and we've done that. So again, to mention how to this, he'd answer that better than me, I think, that question as to the map of it and how to go about it.
No, it's just a random tour. We have not done that. Now that you gave an idea, perhaps we can do it with the important temples, which are linked to the highways. Perhaps we can do this for you. Means it's easy for you to travel because no, most of the temples here shown, they are off the radar, deep inside villages, very small temples, and even we found it very difficult to navigate through them. So. Maybe perhaps we can, some of them are, he has shown about 150 sites. About 60 sites are on the highway. Yes.
Like Mahabalipuram, the elephants are all on the road.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Observation. In many cases, the game boards outside the temples could be renovations.
Yes.
Definitely the ones in the villas and other structural members are definitely reused. But we must also consider the fact that games outside the temple are played by different castes and games inside the temples are played by different castes.
I agree to that, but it is unlikely that is the case because it's very hot to sit outside in the sun. There is
You are considering that there is no shade outside the temple. What we have seen in a lot of living temples is that there are large awnings that are pulled across these places, especially when there are events being carried out at these temples, large pujas being carried out at these temples. There are specific days of the year that are important to these temples.
Yes.
And then you have everybody outside because the inside is just not big enough.
Festivals. But in the case of Banu, the temple I quoted, that was because they said.
No. I'm not denying at all the fact that many of them have been moved out during renovation.
Yes.
But we must also consider the fact that
That is
there
a
are
possibility.
people inside and outside.
Because people go to celebrate Rathotsava or other Utsavas once a year, like in terms of lakhs. So they'll stay there overnight. Yes, that's a possibility.
So one question, in a lot of photographs we've seen that at the entrance of the temple. So what is it? Is it like the replacement
There
of the
was
stones?
no. There were so many guards watching the door, or even priests when they finish their work offering. What will they do? They have to be in the temple all day, so they will be watching for whoever is coming. So they'll be sitting inside the temple entrance in the cool shade, and they'll be playing.
Not
That's what
outside
it
the
is.
mandapa, but inside the
Inside.
Most of, I'll answer that.
Yeah.
Most of the game boards are placed at a very vantage position from where they can have a 180 degree or 360 degree view. So you can very easily, when you enter the temple at 8 o'clock, we out of our experience, we can easily point out there must be a game there must be a game here. Because that is the position from where if the guard sits or the priest sits, he's getting a 180 degree view. And you can find it for you also. You can find it near the well. You can find game invariably near the temple well. You can find it near the shrine to the consort of the main deity. Because that is usually on the side and it is hidden from view. But it is giving them, and it is usually in the corner, it is giving them a view like this. So anybody who is walking into the temple, they are able to watch this. So it is quite easy after all these 25 years, we exactly know when we walk into a new temple, possibly where there is a game. This is our experience.
Thank you. Last question for the session. Just two things.
Yes.
One, you mentioned, what did you call it? Sharavyuha.
Yeah.
The one which you discovered.
Yes.
I got the exact same board from someone in Assam just about a few weeks ago.
Yes.
The
This is
similar board. So it was kind of interesting that you.
Now Ketiketa.
Huh?
That is now Ketiketa.
No, it's different. I'll send you the details. Someone in Assam has sent it to me. I can send you the details. Very, very simple.
yes. That is there.
On a
We
temple,
documented
It
it.
is because we documented.
It's a folk
2007.
game in Assam. It's a folk game in Assam.
But this was named by Raghu.
Yeah, no, I don't know what they call it. It's not called Sharavyuha, it's something else. I will
Yeah.
share the details.
Round spiral game.
Last one, please.
You ended with saying that I hope these games will be etched in your hearts as well. But they are now etched in a new space, which is the digital space, right? Inspired by Radha, I taught my grandchildren the Puli Adipuli art. The next day my grandson was playing it online. So when I, wanted to wean him away from it, and I just looked at it, and I realized that the digital space adds new audiovisual dimensions to these games. Because the tiger was actually pouncing on the goat, and the goat said, "Meh," as it was killed. So which is a great challenge for people of my generation, to wean away these children, because everything, I haven't seen Palanquiris online, but perhaps it is. So how to wean away? My generation is probably dying out, who's playing with grandchildren, physical goats.
The only emphasis we can give to people who want to play or children who want to learn or people who want to teach it to their children is the intergenerational gap can be built because of this. You cannot build that using computer. You have to sit across one another, see the other person crying, laughing, or rejoicing. Only when you see a person in his or her elements, that's where you connect. Not just see them, you connect and bond with them.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is it's a very big challenge, because I missed out on my next generation as I was working woman. But I had the time to do it with my grandchildren. So one skipped a generation to do that. So there is a time factor, there is a smallness of the family factor. There are many challenges in perpetuating the board games in their physical form. That's the point.
I want to add one more thing to what Madam said. Of course, game boards are redundant now and we can't help it. They will eventually die down. We can't help it. Just we are trying to remember it for as long as it can. But as you said, digital media is very strong. It is the future. And even what we are seeing today, it will be redundant within 10 more years.
Yes, I think so.
So next technology will be virtual reality. There, two people will be playing. One will be a tiger, one will be goat, and there we will have all kinds of multimedia, all the sounds, everything. So I think the future is bright.
All the three paper presenters, excellent papers. Thank you for your reaction.